He brought her to his house, took her around the house, across the lawn with 2 pools and a tennis court, through the orchard and flower beds with fragrant herbs, rosemary, oregano, and basil, showed her her room, living room, kitchen, and said, "It's all yours now, and now I'm yours too." This was said by a man who was ranked 63rd in the list of the richest people on the planet. They were sitting in an Italian restaurant and appraising each other, a trim old man and a petite thin woman in a modest dress. He's a billionaire, a celebrity, and she's just a school teacher. He is 79. She is almost 40 years younger. Sumner Redstone, the head of Viacom, thought with mild horror, what has he gotten himself into? He had never gone on a blind date before. But once he got involved, he had to have a leisurely conversation, trying at the same time to please a stranger and not look like a fool in his own eyes. If this woman, Paula Fortunato, were a model, actress, or TV presenter, he wouldn't be here. The idea of going on a date with a primary school teacher seemed so touching to him that for some reason the all-powerful Redstone agreed, and anyway, to go on a date at his age. Thousands of people obeyed Redstone. He was the chairman of the board of directors and the owner of a controlling stake in the CBS TV channel and Viacom, the company that managed MTV, DreamWorks, Paramount, and much more. He was cunning, smart, sarcastic. Without these qualities, there is nothing to do in business. But cunning, sarcasm, and intolerance over the years merged into such a nuclear cocktail that it was simply impossible to bear. Feisty as hell, demanding, suspicious, greedy, corrosive, any of his subordinates would have chosen worse epithets. He woke up at 4 in the morning and started calling his deputies. He couldn't wait to find out if they were ready for a new day at work. Any oversight, delay, or just an unsuccessful remark led to an explosion, followed by utter abuse and scolding of subordinates. Then Sumner had breakfast, shaved, and sat down to watch the financial channel, where information about stock quotes was streaming endlessly. At 6 in the morning, trading on the New York Stock Exchange began, and Redstone began calling brokers. This should be bought, then sold, this should be held. Then he went to work, and from there he went home. And so it goes month after month. Redstone was married to the same woman for almost half a century, but they lived separately for a long time. Redstone did not even have his own house. He did not want to buy a villa or a mansion and preferred to live in the luxurious presidential suite of an expensive 5-star hotel. At least there was someone there to clean the room, wash and iron things, and bring dinner urgently. He could, of course, buy himself a house and recruit a staff of servants. But the idea that he had to enter into some kind of relationship with these people was repugnant to him. If you live alone, you can't do it any other way. Needless to say, he even sued his own son. The son was a lawyer and tried to sue his dad for part of the business. Since then, Redstone has called his son a little stinker. The couple was sitting in a restaurant. Tomato salad with mozzarella, pasta with seafood, excellent Chianti, and the tension between them gradually disappeared. Redstone chose the restaurant himself, inexpensive, so that his position would not catch the eye, but proven, family-run, they served well and served delicious food. When Paula entered the restaurant, he cheered up, she's very nice. Redstone remembered his first impression, and Paula remembered hers. God, what an old man. He looks like a lizard. Of course, he wasn't handsome, but he looked good for his age. Paul was bribed by his benevolent manner and sense of humor. He listened to Paula's simple story with sincere attention. Notebook checks, school squabbles, new theories in pedagogy. Their conversation dragged on past midnight, which was unusual for Redstone. He usually went to bed at 10 in the evening. Returning from a date with Paula, contrary to his usual custom, he did not turn on the mini TV with the financial channel in the car. The driver took a quick glance at the boss in the mirror and saw an outlandish picture. Redstone was looking thoughtfully out the window and smiling to himself. It was so strange, like a crocodile was smiling. Can you imagine they are together all the time now? Redstone is with his teacher. He never leaves her side. At David Letterman's party, there was only talk about Redstone's new passion. Then Paula got on the pages of the gossip columns. Seeing herself in the photos of the magazine Hello, she was in shock. Sumner Redstone with a companion. the inscription announced. In other publications, she was called the new love of the media mogul and even a Razloknitsa. Although Sumner broke up with his wife a long time ago, she had nothing to do with it. It all happened so fast. He called the day after the date at the restaurant. Patience is not my trait, I told you. He invited me to a party. Paula refused. Are you playing hard to get? Sumner asked gruffly. I really can't. I have a parent-teacher meeting, she explained. Then I'll stop by after him, Redstone concluded in a tone that brooked no objections. What followed was like an episode of a romantic comedy. After the meeting, Paula changed into a short black dress in the school bathroom and ran to the limo, wiping chalk off her hands as she went. Before she could blink, she was surrounded by ladies in pearls and diamonds. Cocktails were poured by the pool. Jim Carrey, Bruce Willis, and Tom Cruise smiled at her warmly. Sumner turned out to be romantic, witty, and shy. He courted her like a schoolboy in love, unless a schoolboy can't have a private plane. Redstone visited her tiny Manhattan apartment more and more often and persuaded her to move to Los Angeles with him. Every Friday, Paul flew Sumner's private jet to Los Angeles. They attended private parties, dined at expensive restaurants, and on Sunday evening she flew back and did not miss a single school day, not once. When Paula mentioned that hotel rooms were not too romantic, Sumner immediately purchased an estate in Beverly Hills, so huge that he could not even walk around the perimeter. He was suffering from shortness of breath. Before him, the owner of the estate was Sylvester Stallone. Paula Fortunato has agreed to become Mrs. Redstone. The divorce from his wife Phyllis cost him $1.6 billion. You can't take millions to the next world, and he would have paid more for the joy of living with Paula. They got into the habit of putting 2 armchairs in the garden and sitting with a bottle of Chablis and fruit. Together with his wife, he seemed to be living his life anew. He loved to tell stories about a poor, unhappy Jew who got out of poverty, and it was an exciting experience. Young Sumner Rothstein, a resident of Boston, the son of the owner of a small cinema, changed his name to Redstone on his father's advice and enrolled at Harvard. His parents are Mikhail Rothstein and Bella Ostrovskaya, moved to the United States from Russia. The guy's desk book was Machiavelli's Sovereign. It was recommended to him in law lessons, saying that there was no better textbook on mergers and acquisitions. A predatory book. Sumner was saying, stroking the embossed spine. This guy knew how to get his way. I should have found out too. When World War II began, Sumner, to his mother's horror, volunteered for the front, explaining that Machiavelli could be truly understood by someone who had been in real combat. Redstone became a military translator. He mastered the Japanese language, in which most of his fellow soldiers broke down. He decoded Japanese ciphers for the American Army. Since then, he could not stand the Japanese and refused to do business with them. You can expect anything from them. Discharged, Sumner enrolled in the Georgetown University Law School. He could have become a good judge or lawyer, ruthless, cunning, but he found himself in a quagmire of paperwork, where everything was solved through out-of-court agreements and secret protocols. It was boring. Soon the business world of Hollywood became convinced. Redstone is a tough, unbending businessman. He launched an attack on Viacom, which by that time had become the most powerful corporation. Sumner united investors, bought up, resold, formed secret alliances, intrigue, in general, divided and dominated. He appeared out of nowhere and stabbed in the back. Military experience was useful here. As a result of a brilliant attack, he took over the corporation in 1987 and gained control of Viacom. Other financial transactions followed. Redstone recaptured Paramount Pictures from the famous Barry Diller. He was the first to realize that MTV is not just an entertainment channel, but a real weapon of mass destruction. Paula listened to these victorious speeches and realized that she had got a man whose whole life was really limited to work. That was what he was all about, with joys and sorrows, victories and defeats, doubts and neuroses. Paula was used to both his oddities and his unusual daily routine. They argued for a week about when to go to bed. Summer went to bed at 10 at night, and she at midnight agreed on 11. She was used to Redstone swimming naked in the mansion's pool in the morning, and the imperturbable doorman kept a phone by the side in case someone called. I got used to Sumner's main hobby too. He set up 4 giant fish tanks with fish in shapes and colors that she had never seen before. But in a strange way, she liked it, just because she liked the owner of the house. Now it's their common ground. Have you heard the incredible news? Redstone canceled the contract with Tom Cruise himself. The old man is completely crazy, gray in his beard, a demon in his rib. It's his new wife. The news that Paramount Pictures had terminated the contract with its most important star sounded like a bolt from the blue. Cruise brought huge sums to the company, was the highest-rated actor in Hollywood. It turned out that Redstone did it on Paula's advice. Having settled into her new role, Mrs. Redstone said, sipping a cocktail, "This Tom Cruise, all my friends can't stand him. How he behaved wildly on the Oprah Winfrey show, giggling, jumping on the couch, and this Katie Holmes story, to keep the poor thing quiet during childbirth. Is a normal person capable of such a thing? He's eaten his brains out with this Scientology thing." Sumner thought about it and ordered a large-scale sociological study, and it confirmed Paula's words. Women don't like crows. Maybe these are just words, but there are also numbers. Mission Impossible 3 was the best movie in the trilogy, but it made the least money. Because of Cruz, we lost $100 million. And all because the women didn't go to this movie, Redstone said, and fired Cruz. Under the influence of Paula, Redstone slaughtered a chicken laying golden eggs. He also fired Tom Freston, the man who was considered his official successor. The guy was like a son to him, had been doing MTV since its inception. It was said here that it was also necessary to have a floor. The humble teacher dreamed of taking the reins of government into her own hands. It is unknown how all this would have ended if one day on the plane Redstone did not pay attention to the pretty smiling stewardess Malia Andelin, who was 73 years younger than him. Then he divorced Paula and proposed to Malia. Redstone prudently handed over the management of the company to Sherry's daughter. The wedding was preceded by a long courtship with expensive gifts. Although the couple assured that love had arisen between them at first sight, it was hard to believe. By the fall of 2019, Redstone's fortune had reached $6 billion. A year later, on August 11, 2020, 97-year-old American lawyer and entrepreneur Sumner Murray Redstone passed away.